Good morning, class. Today I'm going to teach you a real practical application of the circle of fifths. There are hundreds of songs that use the circle of fifths. One of my favorite to start out to show you the practicality of the circle of fifths is the song Try to Remember. It's from the musical called Fantastics, which I believe ran in New York, on Broadway, off Broadway, off Broadway for about 40 years. Very popular tune. It goes like this. Okay, I've sent it to many of you. I'm going to play Try to Remember 2.7 version. Basically open position sevenths. That's what that means, 2.7 version. Okay, now this song, I'm going to play the whole song. Okay, that's basically the way it's written, open position, seventh chords. Now, if I were to write all those notes out, note for note, for let's say a classically trained pianist, they would have to remember, let's say, 100 notes. For sake of argument, okay? Now the amateur jazz pianist has to remember, let's say, 10 chords. C, A minor, D minor 7, G7, C, A minor, okay? But the true professional who understands the circle of fifths has to remember two, count them, 1, 2, two patterns. Here it is. Starts out on C, goes down a third to A, then goes circle of fifths. So A would go to a D chord, D would go to G, G goes to C, then whenever you hit the C chord you always go down a third to A, then continue the circle. A goes to D, to G, repeat, C, down a third to A, now circle. A goes to D, to G, C, down a third to A, to D, to G, G down a third to E. Now watch this. E, you're going to tell me the next chord. E would go to what? That's right, A. A would go to D. D would go to G. Now because I'm in the key of C, all these chords are white. C would go to F. What's the next chord after F in the circle? That's right, B flat. Okay. And then I go to G. Went down a third again, back home to the beginning. C, down a third to A. D to G, C. Okay, so the professional has to remember two patterns. One is go down a third every time you hit a C chord, and then circle of fifths. And the bridge, the B section, is all circle of fifths, starting with the E minor. So it's E to A to D to G to C to F to B flat. As soon as I go outside the key, right, that's the first black note I've hit. That chord does not exist in the scale of C major. There are no B flats. As soon as I hit the chord outside the scale, then I know to go to the down a third to the G7, back home to C. Okay, so I have to remember two patterns. When I hit a C chord, go to A, continue on the circle. And then the bridge starts on E minor and goes circle. E to A to D to G to C to F to B flat. So as I hit the chord outside the scale, I go to G, down a third. So we reduced 100 seemingly arbitrary notes for the classical student, down to 10 for the jazz student, amateur, down to two patterns for the professional. Excuse me. So who is going to remember the song longer? Who's going to memorize it quicker? Okay, who's going to be able to play that song in multiple keys? Okay? When I play this song in performance, I'll start out in the key of B, boy, kind of a tough key. Again, I'm thinking down a third, circle. Now I'm on E flat, I'm going to go, or D sharp, but I'll think E flat. That's going to go to A flat, to D flat, to G flat, to B, to E, to A, and then I go down a third. F sharp brings me back to my beginning B. Now I'm going to modulate to the key of C, add some more chords. So I started in B, went to C, added some more color, maybe even play it twice in C, and then modulate to D flat. So instead of a 2-minute song, I've modulated it into different keys and made it interesting sounding, and yet now it's a 5-minute song. So now instead of memorizing 30 songs an hour for a party, I only have to memorize 12 songs because I have modulated to different keys, because I really know the structure of the song. It's basically 2 patterns. Start with a tonic, go down a third, and then circle. Bridge starts on the E minor or 3. We'll talk about that more later, but this is the 3 chord because it's built on the 3rd note of the C scale. So the bridge starts on the 3 chord, goes all circle. And because I'm in the key of C, I know all the notes are going to be white. D to G to C to F. B flat takes me outside the scale, and then I go down a third, which brings me back home. Okay, so very powerful, very powerful. That song would take me weeks to memorize if I had to play it note for note. Take me minutes because I know my circle of fifths. Okay? So that to me is one of the quintessential examples of the power of the circle of fifths. Okay? That song uses all circle of fifths for how many chords? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chords on the bridge. Move by circle, right? And then 1, 2, and 6 chords on the first section. So again, I could play that song 20 years from now if I never played the piano before. Why? Because I have the pattern down intellectually. It's not muscle memory, it's not rote learning, it's complete intellectual control. So think about that, practice, try to remember 2.7, and start to see the circle of fifths, because it's in every song. Have fun.